then what is it with you? You do not fight in the cause of God and for oppressed men, women, and children, who cry out, saying, O Lord, deliver us from this land of oppressors. Appoint for us a Savior. Appoint for us helper, and all by your grace. Believers, those who believe in God, fight for the cause of God, whereas those who do not believe in God fight for the cause of devil. So fight against Satan, evil forces. Indeed, Satan's schemes are ever weak. What we learn from these verses, we are all the children of Adam and Eve. We are like one family. We are asked as international community, as larger family, those are oppressed, we are asked to help them, to support them, and to take a part in it so that we can bring a harmony in the society, we can bring a balance in our nations. Thank you.
Welcome to Dallas Kashmir Seminar, hosted by Kashmir Global Council. We are going to play a short video introducing to you what the Global Council is all about. With that, I would request Zain if he can play the video introducing the Kashmir Global Council. What is the objective of the council? What are we striving for? And then I will request the board members for their intro.
The continued and unabated violence perpetrated on the civilian population of Kashmir by the Indian occupation has been unprecedented in recent history. The recent and ongoing brutalities perpetuated on innocent Kashmiris has remained a matter of concern for every Kashmiri living outside Kashmir. There has been overwhelming coverage about these atrocities and the use of disproportionate force in the Western media. United Nations Human Rights Commission requested access to Kashmir, but has been denied by the Indian government. Human rights organizations like Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, as well as local activists and social media shared pictures of the present situation in Kashmir are testimony to the willful war crimes against a caged population. While this has been covered more pervasively in Western media, all Kashmiris living in North America have been frustrated with the lack of progress on any diplomatic or political initiative to resolve the issue of Kashmir. Some well-known Kashmiris and organizations met on August 13th in Niagara Falls, Canada, to brainstorm options. A path forward emerged in the form of a political advocacy group to facilitate a political situation to the Kashmir imbroglio. Different sub-teams were formed to come up with a vision, mission, and other details for such a political advocacy group. As a follow-up meeting, participants met in New York on September 24th to ratify the recommendations of the sub-teams on the mission, objectives, and structure to form the organization. In order to work cohesively for a comprehensive united struggle, the participants unanimously agreed to frame an organizational structure. The new organization will work to reinforce the struggle at the international level by way of undertaking political and diplomatic initiatives to supplement the sacrifices of the people of Kashmir for their basic political and human rights. The new organization intends to reach all activists or organizations working for the Kashmir cause around the world to adopt a cohesive and united front of the diaspora community. The organization will work for political advocacy, human rights awareness, and to complement the existing social, cultural, and charitable organizations that are doing work for Kashmir. Participants deliberated on adopting effective ways and means to advocate at the international level and discussed some immediate short-term goals for the organization to work on. These goals will help set up a structure and will shape the organization towards its long-term vision.
I would like to request KGC board members, if they can stand up so they can be recognized for the audience. We have Farooq Siddiqui Saab, who is the president of KGC. Myself and board members are Raja Muzaffar Saab, as well as Altaf Qadri Saab, and we have brother Qasim Khokar somewhere. Thank you. So our rest of the board members, because it's a US and Canada-based organization, rest of the board members, they could not make it. I would like to request Raja Muzaffar Saab, who is on the board, who is the pioneer of this seminar today, would like to give a welcome address in 7 minutes. Raja Muzaffar Saab.
Ladies and gentlemen, I sincerely thank you all for taking out your valuable time from your busy schedule to attend this seminar and dedicate your time for the cause of bringing peace and harmony to this world. I am especially grateful to all of guests who have traveled states and countries to attend today's seminar. The experts invited in the seminar will compare the occupation of Jammu and Kashmir and Ukraine. As a reminder, when Pakistan and Indian Army entered Kashmir in 1947, based on self-imposed assumption to occupy Jammu and Kashmir, a war erupted and thousands of Kashmiris were killed and thousands forced to flee from their home. It was the first war between India and Pakistan. The negative effects of this decision are still in full force for the people of Jammu and Kashmir. The situation that the people of Ukraine are facing today has been faced by the people of Jammu and Kashmir during 3 major wars in the last 75 years. We know the effect it has on the future generation and what a forced occupation can do to the lives of the peaceful sovereign nation. The Kashmiris living on the line of control cannot meet each other and cannot share happiness or sorrow with their families across the forced divided line. I personally miss seeing my grandfather, grandmother, and miss not being able to pay my respect at their resting place. We would like our experts at this seminar to share their thoughts on what steps can Kashmiri diaspora take to help bring not only awareness but also applicable steps towards an acceptable solution for the people who are occupied forcibly. The keynote speaker of the seminar, Mr. Farooq Siddiqui Saab, President of the KGC, who belongs from Srinagar, will educate us about similarities of the occupation of Kashmir and Ukraine. I want to thank you once again and hope that you will use political and diplomatic influence over India and Pakistan and play a key and leadership role in bringing justice and independence to the Kashmiri people. The governments of India and Pakistan are claiming their possession and ownership of Jammu and Kashmir on false assumptions. We Kashmiris reject their claims. The people of Jammu and Kashmir want complete independence. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raja Saab. Raja Saab has dedicated his entire life for the cause of Kashmir. Search for a peaceful resolution where people of Kashmir can have their own land, have their own sovereignty, where they can govern their own country as per the aspiration of a people of Kashmir. There's a parity between Kashmir and Ukraine. Ukraine at one point of time was a free and independent country. Then it was occupied by Russia. The people of sanity around the world stood up with Ukraine, and we hope and wish that one day same people will rise up and stand up for the people of Kashmir who are facing the oppression for the last 75 years. Even though the struggle started long before that, our panelists will shed light on those tragic atrocities that people of Kashmir have been facing. So I'd like to play a short video about the diversity in Ukraine. And it is somewhat similar, the situation, what we see in Kashmir.
Is, the Eastern Slavs that, all kind of go back from, perhaps a variety of tribes that kind of populated the area from the north, which is now kind of Belarus and the kind of like Latvia, Lithuania, the Baltics, down to the Black Sea, to the steppes. So there is no racial diversity, but I would say there is absolutely religious diversity. In terms of being at least two dominant religions, they're both Christianity, but there is Catholicism, more trending towards the western Ukraine, closer to Rome. Although a good chunk of Ukrainians are also Greek Catholics as well. And then as you look towards the east, towards Moscow, although of course there are exceptions everywhere, especially in the larger towns, it is what is known as the Orthodox Christianity. And of course, again, especially prior to World War II, but in general, even until today, there has been a significant Jewish population. Again, more so, west of the Dnipro River, and, towards Poland, but definitely everywhere, as well as, there's definitely been a few trade routes going back to 1200s that have passed through Kiev, even other places that have brought other people, Armenians, Turks, and others. And so the larger cities always had kind of neighborhoods, and there are still streets in Lviv, where I'm from, that refer to other ethnic groups. So I would say that it's absolutely diverse in this sense. It is probably diverse politically. I mean, Ukraine as a country has had at least 5 presidents since its independence in 1991. You can say that about our neighbor to the east. And they have been, you can't really put them very clearly on the political spectrum, but they certainly have represented a variety of leanings, from more pro-Western leanings to more central, older kind of communist type. In the earlier days, you can probably call President Kuchma that. And quite often, and I think to this day in the parliament as well in the Rada, there is quite a few different parties represented. So it is truly a country that I would say is at least religiously and politically diverse. Absolutely. Again, I will point to the fact that we have had at least 5 peaceful transfers of power at the presidential level, and a number, and I don't remember the exact numbers in terms of the parliamentary transfers of power. As you know, there have been 2 events where people have come on the street in the Orange Revolution and more recently as well, where people seeing interference in the elections have actually protested when the results were such that they were visibly egregious what was happening. So people came out and actually in both cases had democracy persevere or whatever. But in general, there have been quite a few transfers of power from completely different individuals. There's coexistence of multiple political parties and always has been, anywhere from the very, very pro-Western to the old school communists. And I think that is really what makes it a very well-functioning democracy. I find it very difficult to see that happening at a territory of any significance. Mostly because, again, even in the East, they have seen and continue receiving extreme opposition from anyone, from the armed forces, from the local, I guess you can call them militias, right, to down to just individual people, civilians. And thinking about, just logistically, about the number of quote-unquote law enforcement officials and the support that they would require and the punitive measures and everything else that would continuously turn the country or the occupied party against them, I don't see the East-West Germany type of a scenario being meaningfully in existence. I mean, I suppose we can say that we've seen this in Donbass and in the Crimea in a way, but I think that both of those, not to diminish what happened in 2014, but the scale of violence, the scale of overt disregard for anything from human life to, forget international law has been completely different. So I just don't see them being able to hang on to power without being consistently exposed to all kinds of anything from civilian unrest to kind of a very active partisan warfare. So I think it would be difficult. And from the, thinking outside of logistics and the money that would cost, I think the identity now has been forged such that people would continue seeing themselves as Ukrainian. So I think it is certainly not racially diverse. I mean, by and large, the population is, the Eastern Slavs that, all kind of go back from, perhaps a variety of tribes that kind of populated the area from the north, which is now kind of Belarus and the kind of like Latvia, Lithuania, the Baltics, down to the Black Sea.
Now, before I invite our president of the organization, Farooq Siddiqui Saab, who is an engineer by trade, a very dedicated individual who have devoted his entire life, have gone through oppression, suppression himself. Several times he was jailed, but he never gave up. There are two things that I like about him. First, that he never gave up for the pursuit of independence of Kashmir. And second thing that I like about him is, right before this conference, he came over about a week, making sure that we are ready and have this conference successful. And actually, I do like one more thing about him, that I like his hairstyle, by the way. Farooq Siddiqui Saab.
Thank you, Mujib. Thank you very much. I hope everybody is able to listen comfortably here. I'm not sure from where I will start, but very important thing is that all of us, we know that any civilization of mankind in the past, they grew and ascended to a point where they could not sustain that ascendancy. By looking at the history, by looking at the archaeological findings, we see that many civilizations came up. We saw in Egypt the civilization based on mysticism and dogmas. We saw a civilization, we heard of civilization and extricated archaeological finds in Mesopotamia. We found it in Indus Valley, Chinese civilization based on Confucianism, and Indian civilization based on the myths. And then we found the Roman civilization based on the Christianity, and the power of Christianity and religion. And then we had the golden period of what they call Islamic civilization. All these civilizations in the past had one thing in common, that they could not pursue and could not combine and could not take care of the heterogeneous society that they belonged to. There were conquests of different places, there were invasions, and these were the big empires, but they could not sustain themselves because unless you do not take care of on a level field the aspirations of those societies whom you have conquered or you have invaded or you have annexed, unless you don't take their aspirations into consideration, those civilizations will fall eventually. And that's what happened in the past. Today, in our civilization, we are in pursuit of the far reaches of space, and we are seeking the knowledge and understanding of the physical world that we live in. We are going into the deep sea and finding what this planet is all about. And there are challenges for this human race today to sustain this ascendancy. But there would be pitfalls, and we have to take care of those pitfalls. And those pitfalls are, nations today have nuclear arsenals all over. There are many nations who have within them, they have the capabilities of destroying world, not once, not twice. They have the capabilities of doing it 10 times. So we are living in a dangerous world in which conflicts and issues